Well, hello everybody. So, just got back from New Zealand about a week ago now, but I thought it's a pretty good opportunity to do a bit of a gear dump on this New Zealand trip, chasing Tahr and Chamois. This is literally everything I took in here. It's probably pretty chaotic because I just jammed it in last minute before we had to leave, but we'll go through it and I'll separate it into groups for, like, say your sleep setup, like your clothing, electronics, all that sort of crap. Give you a bit of an idea of what you actually need for a trip like that. I'm just going to rip everything out and then go through the different groups of what's in here, so let's just do that. This is pretty much the entire kit I took over to New Zealand with me, except for one thing you might have noticed is missing out of this picture. There's no bow, which I don't have a bow anymore. Cut a long story short, I sold the bow while I was in New Zealand and it now lives on the North Island in New Zealand. But yeah, there's a pretty wild reason why I sold my bow, but we'll get to that a bit later. And pretty much everything here is going to get sold as well, or already is sold. Yeah, I aim to have pretty much no hunting gear within this month, which is a very weird thing for me because I spent a lot of time, a lot of money gathering all these things up and getting a really good kit together, but it is what it is. We will rebuild, I promise. But anyways, moving on from that, we'll start off with the sleep setup we've got over here. So I've just run a 2-person tent, which is really, it's a 1-person and a gear tent. It's a very small tent, but works well for me because I'm not very big. But anyways, I've got the tent itself is a Vango, I think it's an F10 helium. It's very lightweight, so kind of good thing to carry around in your backpack. I've got a ground sheet for that as well, and my pegs in there. I bought a new pillow over there because I had a bloody rubbish one before that, but this is a Zempire chill pill. Actually not a bad pillow. Bought that from New Zealand Hunting and Fishing. So we've got our sleeping mat here. This is a Thermarest X Therm. It's got a pretty high R rating. I think it's like 7 point something, so it's quite good insulation. And then we have our sleeping bag. So it's probably a bit overkill, this sleeping bag, for a lot of things, but it is good for winter. So it's the Cedar Summit Ascent AC3, I believe it is, and it's an ultra down sleeping bag. It's supposed to be comfort down to -18 or something ridiculous like that. So probably not a good thing if you're a hot sleeper, but I was pretty comfortable in it. I just unzip it, let a bit of air in if I need to. But yeah, that's the basic of the kit for the sleep side. A good quality pair of boots is a definite must in New Zealand. That country is very harsh on your body and it'll absolutely destroy your feet and ankles if you don't look after them. So I think we spent about 2 weeks in the bush, and there was a lot of hiking, a lot of kilometers covered in that amount of time, and I don't think we stood on anything that was nice and even or flat for that whole entire 2 weeks, and my legs and knees and everything was definitely feeling it when I got back home and stopped walking around or stopped hiking for a couple of days. But yeah, I've got these are the lower Tibets. Unfortunately, I have to retire them this trip, or I'm gonna get them repaired, but I've had these boots since 2018 as well, I believe, and they've been awesome. I love these boots. But yeah, they've just had a very hard life, and unfortunately on one of the boots, it's sort of still all together and pretty tight, but the front has started to lift away from the actual boot, the sole, and it was letting a tiny bit of water in, but it did make it through the trip, so I'm pretty happy with that. But yeah, I want to get them repaired because they are such a good boot. But yeah, they've had a good run. Moving on to the clothing, so here is my jackets. So we've got a Stony Creek puffer jacket. These are a wicked jacket, very warm, but they're quite expensive. So got the Stony Creek puffer, and then I've been running the Kuiu gear for a little while now, and I'm really liking it. So I've got the Kuiu. This is a Guide DCS jacket, I think it's called, and that's quite nice. And then I've got a rain jacket. So this is a Stony Creek, I think it's called a long bush coat. The Stony Creek gear is awesome. I've had that Stony Creek rain jacket and puffer jacket for quite some time now, and yeah, they're just really good bits of gear. New Zealand company, Stony Creek, so very good. And then I've got some undies there. I think I took 3 pairs, sorry, and just sort of alternated and washed them in the river when I had to. But yeah, a couple of shirts. So these are the Kuiu merino, maybe the 145 merino undershirts, and I just use them for my outer layer in a lot of the time. When you're hunting and stalking, you get pretty warm, so I use them on the outside, and yeah, I find them comfortable in the heat. Even wet, they dry really quick. We got soaked a couple of times, and they were good, very good. I've got a couple of pairs of, these are the Morocco 30 socks. I only took 2 pairs with them in the bush with me, and same thing, washed them and hung them out while we were hunting, and just alternate pairs each day if you have to. I took 2 pairs of pants. There was one spot we flew in with a helicopter, so I took the 2 pairs of clothes because we could carry the extra weight, and we just dropped it off at camp. But the second spot, we hiked in off the road, so I only took the clothes I was wearing. I did take a spare pair of socks and a spare pair of jocks, but that was it. So we just went in a bit lighter, not saving a whole heap of weight, but a little bit. Definitely helps when it's on your bloody back. That's sort of it for clothing, mostly. I took a pair of mittens because my fingers get cold, and a bloody face veil. Now we'll move on to my backpack and just sort of the gear I had in there most of the time, or all of the time. So put that there. So I've been running an EXO. This is a K2 EXO. This is a 5500, and I bloody love this thing. I've had it for a long time, and it's had some shit in it. It's hauled some dead things. But yeah, this is a wicked pack. Very comfortable for big trips. So I'm pretty comfortable camping out of this thing for a week, probably even longer if I tried. But yeah, mostly about a week at a time. I can fit all my sleeping gear, my clothes, all my electronics, bloody butchering gear, cooking gear, and all my food in it, and I'm good to go. Strap my bow to the back, and off we go. I reckon there was a couple of times we had hiked in this time, and we were probably up there around the 30 kilo mark for what was on our back, and yeah, you definitely feel it because hiking in, you're going up the whole time. So yeah, EXO 5500 K2. Another thing we're saying goodbye to, and sold this as well. So we getting rid of the K2. All this sleeping gear is going with it. So yeah, we're clearing out. But on this EXO pack, I've got the Peak Design. I think it's called Peak Mountain Design or something like that. Peak Design's camera mount. So first trip I've actually used this. Slip the camera in, locks in, accessible, which made me use my camera a hell of a lot more than I normally would, because it's just a pain to access when it's in your bag. But yeah, love that. Peak Designs clip, or whatever you want to call it. Good thing. We'll move on to the bino harness that went everywhere with me. The Garmin InReach, clip to it 100% of the time. Yeah, some of that country over there is pretty sketchy, and there's definitely a lot of spots you can come unstuck if you're not careful. But yeah, Garmin InReach. Also Luke, the lad I went with, he had one as well. So when we were hunting, we'd split up at times to, one of us would go for a stalk and the other one would stay back and watch. There was times we used the InReach, send a little message to each other when we couldn't see each other to do hand signals and say, yep, the chamois still there or whatever, or he's gone, come back. So yeah, handy thing, and it's nice to be able to send a message to your family at home, anywhere in the world. So we've got the InReach. I've got the marsupial harness. This is the old style, not the enclosed one. I keep a spare rangefinder battery in the front. Got wind puffer inside, and my release aid, just the shape of it, it locks in really well. Luke did ask me if I was worried about losing it, and this thing's been in there for that long, I've sort of stopped thinking about it. I've never lost it out of there once, but I'm always careful that it's still there. Rangefinder pouch on the side with me Leopold rangefinder. Got the angle compensation in the rangefinder, which is definite must in the mountains. And yeah, we've got a pair of bloody Maven binos in here. I think these are the, what are they? B1.2 binos. 10x42. Just a good thing. Good bit of kit. This stays. This is not going anywhere. Binos, my harness, rangefinder, binos, all this stuff right here, that gets to stay. It makes the cut. But over here, little first aid kit. There's not a whole lot in it because you can only do so much. So if you have a fall, you're pretty well stuffed anyways. But this is good for like just minor stuff: cuts, pain, some bandages, bit of Panadol, bit of Nurofen in there. Very basic kit, and it's also got my patch kits for like your tent and sleeping kit and all that sort of stuff. All my patches are in there. That stays with me. I did take along a water filter. There's the mini Sawyers or whatever they call them. Sawyer Mini, there you go. Handy thing, takes a long bloody time to get water to come through. So you're hopefully not thirsty when you need it. But most of the rivers and creeks where we were up fairly high. So it was that fresh, the water was that clean, you could just drink it straight out the creek, which we did. So 98% of the time we drank straight out of the creek. There was one time we filtered water because we were at a hut and the water tank there, we just filtered it out of there just in case. You never know what's sort of in there. But I did take that, didn't really get much use. A pair of Allen keys and a little torque bit for my modules on my cams on my bow. We did take the Allen keys in with the chopper, but I didn't carry them in when we hiked in. I just went over my bow beforehand to make sure she was all good, and then it is what it is after that. Moving on, I did have a spare release aid, and again, I took that when we went in the chopper. Sort of all the spare stuff I had was good. If you're going in with a chopper, you can take a fair bit of weight, like nothing ridiculous, but you can take whatever you want up there, really. Like I've seen people taking chairs and bloody eskies and beers and everything up there. But yeah, we just sort of stick to the basics and didn't go too luxurious, but a chopper is pretty luxury. But yeah, that stayed back most of the time. This is my broadheads. I just put them in there, just protect everything until we get there and then chuck them on my arrows. But running the Nix 150 grain 3-blade sabers, I believe they are. A bunch of dry bags, so camera gear is bloody expensive, so a couple of dry bags for cameras and just any sort of electronics and important gear you want to keep out of the weather, because New Zealand is a very wet place sometimes. And yeah, if you've been there, you know. Trekking pole, very nice when you got a bit of weight on your back. But optional things here, we've got an ice axe and a pair of crampons there. So I wasn't really sure what to expect this time round, so I just packed them in because the spot we were choppering into, I've never been there, so I didn't really know what to expect because we were going to be right near the top of the mountain ranges there. So I just chucked them in, didn't use them, didn't even unpack them. So it was a sort of a nice thing to have at camp, but yeah, once we got up there and seen what it was like, it's like, oh, okay, we're not going to need these at all, which was nice. I don't know, ice and stuff kind of scares me, if I'm being totally honest with you. Moving on, I've got a little marsupial pouch here, which I keep my, I've got a knife in there, a knife sharpener, a little bit of like string rope, and a couple of meat bags. They definitely all got used. And trusty old jet ball here with me cutlery. That was pretty much the kit that stayed in my bag the whole time. Apart from these two, head torch and my tripod, took my camera lens and solar charger. That stuff stayed in my bag pretty much the whole entire time, just handy things in there. We'll touch on electronics quickly. So obviously we've talked about Garmin. We've got this headlamp. This is the Phoenix something or other. Nice bright headlamp and lasts quite a long time. Rechargeable, so you don't have to worry about batteries. I've got this camera lens. This is a new one I bought, so I finally got around to buying a lens, stop being a tight ass. But yeah, this is a Tamron 50-400, so is a fairly expensive lens for me, but definitely worth it. I've got some awesome footage with this, awesome photos. I'm stoked that I sold my other camera to force myself to buy a lens for this camera. But yeah, this goes on a bloody Sony A7R3, which is quite a nice camera. It's not the best, but it is quite an expensive, nice camera. And yeah, it was nice to get that out. I've got this solar BioLite solar charger. So it's a fold out one. It does have a little battery in here, so you can chuck a USB charger in this, and it's good while you're sitting there glassing. Just chuck it out on a rock behind you. You can charge this up or chuck your phone or Garmin headlamp on it and off you go. I had a USB-C and an iPhone cord in the mountains. I didn't worry about cameras, charging them. I took enough batteries so that I would get your 5 days, 6 days, 7 days in the mountains without having to run out of batteries. That's basically it for electronics side of things. Car charger with 3 ports, very handy because we did cover a few kilometers. Oh, and sorry, I've missed this, but with the clothes, I have a pair of gaiters. These are KUIU ones. I thought they'd be a good thing, but they're okay. But I would say these gaiters are light duty. Now for the hunting, everyone uses different stuff, so rifle, bow, doesn't matter. But anyways, I had my compound bow, which was an Elite Cairo. It was 70 pound with a option equalizer, spot hog double pin dial sight, and a Hamsky rest. And yeah, I really like that setup. Just so nice to shoot, so accurate, and it tuned up so well. This arrow tube is part of the case, which is a Legend Everest 40, and yeah, that's been overseas a few times and interstate, and yeah, it's been quite a solid case. For the arrows, I took 12 arrows. These are the Nexus Infinity shafts. They're 300 spine, and I've got the titanium hardware on them and the easy vanes. I think they're like the 3-inch easy vanes. We have 11 arrows to bring home. I shot my bow once, and then I took a back seat and tried to help Luke get onto some animals. I really wanted to put in some time and help Luke get onto some animals, and that was awesome. I love sitting back and watching someone else stalk in. I was getting so bloody excited a couple of times. He was getting within range or starting to get within range, and I'm like probably more nervous than he is, sitting back bloody 300 yards. If you're taking a rifle, which I have taken before, you don't need that much ammo once you know what your gun's doing. Say you had like 20 rounds with you. if you wanted to, once you got there, go shoot a target 2 or 3 times. And yeah, if you're not planning on bombing up the place, which is a good thing not to, like, just take what you're after and be happy with it. Like, yeah. And I think that is basically it. Like, I just wanted to do a little quick rundown, like nothing crazy, but that is the general idea of what you can get away with in New Zealand. Like, you don't need a ridiculous amount of stuff and you can have an awesome time. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching and I will see you next time.